Hey everyone, this is Paul with rcFoamFighters. I'm getting ready to start my actual build of the FF-T50 plane. As I did show in the last video, that was a kind of the original prototype. I made some adjustments to the plans, so I'm getting ready to actually start building the plane again, and this time we're going to actually build a plane and put all the electronics on it and try and fly it. That is, hopefully, if all the adjustments I made to the plans came out okay. So I've got all the plans printed out. I'm basically just going to do like I usually do. I'm just going to trim the bottom edge and the right side edge off, and then I'm going to start gluing or taping the plans together. Then after that, we'll cut out the pieces, get them laid on foam board, and cut out all the pieces, and then start putting the plane together. So let's get started and see how it goes. Okay guys, got all the plans put together, and then I cut out some of the parts, and now I'll place them on top of the foam board. Basically, I just tape them on top of the foam board, and then I start cutting the pieces out. So let me start cutting the pieces out, and then we'll continue after that. Okay everyone, I got most of the foam board parts all cut out, and I'm starting to test fit some of the pieces and actually glue some of them together. I already glued together the bottom part of the nose, and I'm actually a lot happier with it than the original. Looks like it's a lot thinner. It doesn't look as fat, so I think it'll be pretty good. So basically it's just test fitting the rest of the parts. And actually I think for this foam board plane I'm going to try and do some paint on the foam board. I'm going to do some camouflage looking paint, and I'll probably do a clear layer of tape over it to help make it a little bit more water resistant. So let me get to that, and then we'll take a look after I get a little bit of paint on the foam board. Okay guys, as you can see here, I put some random patches on top of the plane. I'm getting ready to try and paint the plane. I'm going to be using probably a combination of blue, gray, black, and probably another color of gray. So hopefully it comes out okay. We'll see how it looks after I get it painted. Okay guys, here's a look at the plane so far. I got the basic paint all down on the plane. None of the foam board is glued together yet. I just kind of placed it together here for a test fit to see how everything's looking. Looks like it's doing pretty good. I'm not 100% happy with the paint job. I just kind of rushed it, but I think it'll be okay once I get it up in the air. Now I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to tape over the top of the plane, because it is always very moist and humid here out in Missouri. Even when we just get rain, or when there's a lot of snow on the ground, it's going to be wet. So I'm probably at least going to tape up the bottom, but I may leave the top untaped, so it'll look a little bit more natural looking, and maybe a little more scale. But anyway, that's the plane where it's at right now. So now it's time to kind of take it apart. I'm going to start putting all the electronics in and get ready to fly. So let's continue on and see how it goes. Okay guys, getting ready to start putting the electronics on. The first thing I did is I put a wood motor mount in the back of the plane. Basically it's just a couple squares, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, with 4 holes drilled in it with some blind nuts, 440 blind nuts on the back side. And then with 2 basswood runners running up the side here. And it's just hot glued into the back of the plane. Okay everyone, as you see, I started mounting the electronics to the airplane. I got the motor mounted to the back of the motor mount. And as you can see, I'm using the Turnigy 2836-23 kV motor. This motor does come with the motor shaft initially coming out the other side over here, and you do have to modify this motor by pushing the shaft forward to be able to make it a pusher mount type motor. I do have a video on rcFoamFighters if you want more information on how to modify that. I'll put a link down in the video notes, and you can check that out. Okay, continuing on, you can also see that I had to modify the wires. I had to add some extensions to be able to get the wires back from the ESC to the motor. And also, as you can see, I got the ESC. It's a Turnigy 40 amp plush mounted in the right side air duct. I put it in the air duct so it'll get a lot of air cooling and hopefully help keep it cooler. I will probably have to add some extensions to the battery side too, because the wires aren't long enough to reach towards the front of the plane where the battery is going to be. So when I get closer to finding out where the CG is, I'll make some extensions the proper length and get it all set up. So let me continue on with the build and see how it goes. Okay guys, I was doing some CG tests, and it appears like I need to locate as much equipment as I can towards the back of the plane, because it was a little bit nose heavy with the battery way out front. So I decided to put the receiver near the kind of middle of the plane, and it's going to be enclosed once I glue it all together. So I decided to mount it to like a little trap door here, so I can access it from the bottom of the plane after it's all glued together. So if I do need to access the receiver, I can just pull the little trap door, the receiver will pop down, and then I can have access to it. So that should work out. So let me continue on, and I'll install all the rest of the electronics. Okay guys, getting ready to start installing the servos, and basically they're just going to be hot glued onto the main wing. I did kind of decide that I'm just going to go with a very basic setup on this. I'm going to be using 2 servos in kind of a quad elevon style fashion, like I did on the FF-35. So basically that's going to be the rear elevons and the ailerons going to be working in unison together, basically as elevons, and they'll be both surfaces will be connected to one servo on each side. So I'm going to mount these to the main wing, and then I just need to cut the slot here so they have clearance once I glue on the bottom belly pan. Okay guys, we're getting ready to glue on the main wing onto the bottom part of the plane, and I did, as you can see, I made some battery extension leads out towards the front of the plane. I'm thinking the battery is going to be sitting right around this area here, towards the middle of the front area of the fuselage. So that'll kind of probably be sitting on top of the main wing once I get it on there. So I might have to make some adjustments with the bulkhead with the top part of the fuselage. We'll see after I get it all together and start doing some balance testing and seeing where the CG is going to come out. Okay guys, got the servos mounted to the main wing, and I got the main wing partially taped up on the areas that are going to be exposed on the bottom to hopefully protect it a little bit from moisture and stuff like that. So let me glue the main wing on now to the rest of the airplane, and we'll start doing the final assembly. Okay guys, I just did a quick test fit of all the parts and pieces on the airplane. Then I used that to position where the CG is going to be. I moved the battery back a little bit, and I think I'm pretty close to where I need it to be. So let me show you under here. I don't have it glued in yet, but basically I just cut a slot so the battery will fit in nice and snug when it's put in. And I'll probably put a strip of Velcro along the bottom of the battery and along the bottom of the plane there. So that should secure it in. So now all I have to do is start gluing on the rest of the pieces to the plane, and it should be finished. Okay guys, one other real quick note. Just basically because the fuselage is split here, as you can see the seam there, because it's two parts, I'm just going to be taking a little piece of foam board and I'm going to glue it on the back side, glue both pieces together to make it a little stronger. Okay guys, I'm working on the cockpit now. It's made out of foam board, and one thing you really got to do on these foam board cockpits is really work the bevels to a shallow bevel so they fit up nice and kind of almost flush with the fuselage. So let me get it taped up, and then we'll test fit it on the airplane, see how it looks. Okay guys, I'm getting ready to attach the canopy to the plane, and basically to do this I just have a plastic control surface hinge that I hot glued to the front of the canopy. I did cut away where the tape is, where the hot glue was, so it glues to the foam board, and I'll probably be put some tape on top of it to make it a little stronger. But basically I just have that on there. I'm going to be cutting a slot in the front of the nose right there, push it in and hot glue it in. And then at the rear of the canopy, I'm going to be having some rare earth style magnets. Basically one's going to go on the top of the plane, and then one on the back side of the canopy. So let me get that attached, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay guys, got the canopy all attached. As you can see, it's glued in the front here. I also added another piece of foam board underneath here to make it a little bit stronger. And here's the rear magnet back here. And I also put another piece of foam board underneath to make it a little stronger there too. And it looks like it closes nice and tight. It locks on nice and tight with that magnet, so it should be good to go. Okay guys, we're getting ready to install the control rods and the servo arms on the servo. And as I did mention before, I'm going to be running this kind of basically with the 4 elevon surfaces. Basically the back elevons are going to work as elevons, and also the ailerons are going to be working as elevons. Since they're so far rearward of the CG, it should work fine. Basically it's going to be set up just like I did on the FF-35 plane. And here's kind of a close-up look of how I have it on the control arm. I got the one going to the back elevons on the top of the control arm. Then on the next hole below, I've got another smaller rod, and that's going to be going to the ailerons. So let me get this all attached with the control horns on the surfaces, and all connected to the servos, and we'll take a closer look. Okay guys, as you can see, I now have the ailerons and the elevons all connected with the dual linkage setup. And as you can see, they work in unison, pretty much the same way that I had on the FF-35. Okay guys, got the plane about 99% done. The only thing left I have to do is put the little cover over where the motor wires are. That'll just be another little piece of foam board. But it looks like it's weighing right about 1 pound, 6.9 ounces. So it'll probably be right about 1 pound, 7 ounces once I add that little motor cover. And that should be the final weight. So that is what, right about 23 ounces. Okay guys, here's the view of the pretty much finished FF-T50. Like I said, this is very loosely based on the PAK-FA fighter that Rush is developing. I kind of tried to do the camouflage paint scheme. I did kind of rush that, so I'm not 100% happy with it, but I think it'll look okay once it's in the air. Up close it looks kind of crappy, but I don't think it's too bad. One thing I was really happy with though was the nose. I was happy that the way I reshaped it, I added a couple extra angles into it. There's a couple other folds and small bevel cuts you have to do to make it, but I think it adds a lot to the look of it, and it looks a little bit better being smaller up front, I think. Okay guys, here's a quick view from the rear of the plane. I think it really has a nice shape. I really like the lines of the PAK-FA fighter, the real one, and I try to resemble it as much as I could, but there are some different lines on the plane as it being a RC plane, but I think it has a nice look to it. Okay guys, well stay tuned. Hopefully soon we'll be able to get out to do the maiden flights. Then after we get it flowing and see how it flies and everything worked out, I'll work on some final plans and have them available to you guys.